How about now?
Uh,
No?
no. Oh, wait. No.
Yeah, we're
Yep,
live.
now we're
It
good.
says live. Okay, we're good.
We're good? All right, let me just mute the call then. That was a weird hiccup. All right, let me mute the call, get the intro video rolling, and then we'll get going.
Welcome to the Four Guys with Quarters show. With your hosts Inferno, Assassin, and Clowns.
All right, and here we go. Welcome, everyone, to Four Guys with Quarters, episode 72 for January 7, 2016. You guys may have noticed that 16 stuck around a little too long during the intro video. I didn't click that off on OBS, so when I made the background, I forgot it was 2016 somehow. I keep doing that, even with like checks and stuff. But yeah, welcome to the show. This week we
First
have
show of the year.
First show of the year. The background hasn't changed yet. It's getting there. We're changing up the background, a little bit of the format. So apparently we're not as loud this week, but my computer's telling us we are, so I don't know why. Anyway, this week we have a special guest with us. Big Xbox enthusiast, engineer by day, podcaster by night. Not afraid to sort through all of the gaming BS, if you know what I mean. We have the Mooch here tonight. What's up, Mooch?
What's up, guys? I was saying it offline. I'll say it online. Really, really happy to be on the show. You guys put together a great podcast, and I appreciate the invite.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we will make sure that we get some topics in that you have a lot to say about.
Absolutely.
Essentially, if it's anything to do with Xbox, you usually have a lot to say about it anyway. So
Yeah, it's usually the Sony comments that get me in trouble. So never.
Anyway, let's introduce the rest of the gentlemen making his 72nd straight appearance on the show. ZPCI Assassin.
Hold on.
What's up, you hairy man? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, because you've been AWOL.
I know, dude. I've been busy. It's gonna end though. That's gonna end. Anyway, we've got Little Turtle Boy. What's up, Turtle?
Hello.
And we've got Clowns. What's going on, Clowns? You there?
What's up?
He is there, all right. And I'm Inferno217. We do this little thing every week. I know it says Thursdays at 8, but that time is going to change to something more definite. I know today it's 5:30, but we wanted to get the Mooch on, and this fits his schedule, so this is what we're doing. And also I have a
Appreciate it.
basketball game to coach in about an hour and 30 minutes, so also fits my schedule. Anyway, so before we get into the actual meat and potatoes, let's give a shout out real quick to our sponsor, MoviePass.com. Go to our website, 4GwQPodcast.com, to sign up for a 2-week free trial, no obligation whatsoever for MoviePass. They'll send you like a kind of a credit card in the mail. It's not really a credit card, so it's not going to hurt your credit or anything. It just looks like one. And you can use that to purchase tickets at 93% of nationwide theaters. You can go see one movie a day if you want, so you can get 14 free movies out of this pass by going to our site, signing up for the free 2-week trial. So usually it's $30 a month, and you can see as many movies as you want per month, so you won't have to worry about paying ridiculous prices like you do in Boston, Massachusetts, where I'm from. $12.50 to see a goddamn movie here, so... but yeah, $30 a month usually, but free 2-week trial if you go to our site and check out that link. So even if you don't keep the service, it will help us out. So please do sign up for that trial. I have it. I've had it for like 6 or 7 months. It's awesome, guys. You see so many movies. You don't pay. You rack up the rewards, and you don't even pay the theater. I got so many AMC rewards, and I haven't paid them a dime. So yeah, that's MoviePass.com. Thank you. I see everybody in the chat tonight chatting. Thank you guys for coming by and watching the show. Feel free to ask questions of Mooch throughout the episode or provide any feedback or opinions that you'd like. Obviously, let's keep it, under wraps. Don't go crazy or else the bot will come after you. But yeah, we'll be giving you guys quarters to use in our giveaways if you guys make great comments and if you stick around and watch the show. So please feel free to do that. All right, Mooch. So hold on, wrong slide. So you've been an Xbox advocate, I think, for your entire time on YouTube. Your rise to popularity on YouTube with your various video series growing up with gaming, in the various podcasts that you host and are a part of. And, maybe tell us a little bit of why, maybe in a brief synopsis before we get to more specific stuff, why you love Xbox and what Xbox has meant to you recently.
Well, I'll tell you, I will, keeping it to a short briefing is going to be the hard part. But realistically, it's this. We're all consumers, okay? Everybody that's listening to your show, the five of us, we all have a certain amount of money that we want to put towards our recreation, what we like to do. And when we go back to 2013, okay, the reason to be so vocal came out about 2013, when I was very excited to watch both reveals, okay? I think it was February 20th in New York City for Sony, and then it was in Redmond in May for Microsoft. And when they went ahead and did these reveals, I sat there and I watched. The Sony one came first, and I sat there and I watched it, and I said, okay, all right. But we've all been a part of this before, where Sony puts on a great CGI trailer mixed with a bunch of indies came out. We didn't see the box. We just saw the controller. Listen, for a living, you say engineer by day, but I have engineering. I do electrical engineering for a living. I've been doing this for 15 years. You have to present, you have to show. And one of the things I always do is I do a lot of the talking at work. And the point of the matter is that when they came out, they looked like they were behind the eight ball. Microsoft comes out and, okay, the box is there, the controller's there. Let's not talk about the design of it. We'll get into that later on. But what they did was they showed us things like TV. Listen, you said you're Inferno. You're from Massachusetts, okay? I'm from New York.
Yeah.
It's freezing here, okay? It's freezing.
It is.
Don't listen to these people that live in California tell you they're cutting the cable. People in the Northeast don't cut the cable. We fucking need it, okay? So pardon me and pardon my French. But the point is we need the cable. It's cold out there for 9 months. So when I saw I had an HDMI in, I got excited. I said, wait, you're telling me I can take two of the best things I do recreational for entertainment? I can do it at the same time. We could snap the television. I can watch my Monday Night Football, and I can play a game at the same time. I thought it was genius. I said, this is next generation, okay? Then I see things like Kinect. I saw where you could pass the controller from, whether it be father to son, buddy to buddy, husband to wife. You pass the controller back and forth. It knows by face recognition. All of a sudden now it changes the scope and the parameters of the controls on the controller to the other individual. That's next generation. I saw a few games. They look good. I saw Forza 5. I saw the Call of Duty, whatever. I mean, remember, we're being generic here. It was a launch. But when I left that show, I said, this is next generation. I didn't want another box that I plugged into the wall. And then, I could only do that. I secluded myself into this little world in the house, and then everything else was going on. Now I can do things and immerse myself with family, etc., with the Xbox console. And they're not the first ones to come to the plate and do this. Apple wants the full house integrated. What's wrong with Microsoft wanting the whole house integrated? Mm-hmm. But no, the gamers went up in uproar. Everybody burned the Redmond studios down. Everybody was upset. The only person who actually spoke of sense after the Redmond presentation was Adam Sessler. At least he kept an open mind about it. Mm-hmm. But if you go back to it, it was just panic in the streets, DRM. Everybody was so down on DRM and being connected to the internet. Now when PSN or Xbox Live is down, we alert the Pentagon. You know what I mean? Oh my God, right? Everybody's saying nobody can even play a game anymore. They're like, I'm not playing tonight. I can't get online. But if you go back to 2013, everybody wanted to be no Ethernet included. I want to be able to put my game in and play it without interference. Listen, this is why I became an Xbox, pro Xbox, and have to be vocal. I'm not trying to make you believe in what I believe in. I'm hoping that somebody who's just purely on the Sony side goes out, buys the Xbox, enjoy the PlayStation 2. I have a PlayStation 4. I have one. I haven't played it. There's nothing on it. But I have one because when the game does come out, I want to enjoy it. And I was watching last week's episode. I believe somebody on this podcast said I'll be getting it when Uncharted 4 comes out. Well, that's what I was waiting for. It just so happens that a deal came up at GameStop where they were allowing you to trade in other consoles, and I had a bunch of the older consoles laying around the house. Got it for a good deal. A good deal is a good deal. And that's where I'm bringing it back before we go on to the next subject is we are consumers first. So when a company like Microsoft gave me more features, I saw the dedication in gaming. I love the control. The controller is just a better controller. That's almost a hard one. That's the only thing I won't break on. A lot of other things I'll say, listen, your opinion is your opinion. But if you happen to be a man over the age of 21 and you like your analog sticks that close to each other, I don't want a thummy war, okay? I want to play fucking video games. So, that's my whole point. That's where I have a heart. That's where I don't bend is the controller. But that's why I took this stance. That's why you hear me do what I do. That's why I'm very grateful to be on this show, is to maybe get some more people to open their ears, open their minds, and understand that the Xbox is actually giving you more for your dollar as a consumer. So I hope that kind of at least puts in perspective where we went from the reveal to how I got in the seat today.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that was a lot of information, but it was all excellent stuff. No, please. I mean, it's all excellent stuff, and I feel like more than ever, with the way media, is able to skew things and convince people otherwise, I feel like we need more people like you and like us and like real gamers coming out there and, expressing their real feelings because, the media is what's shaping the quote unquote console wars that is now, in my opinion, kind of defunct and really doesn't really matter. But I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. But I think that the media is convincing people that maybe they don't need both of these and to go with one or the other and stay with that one, and making people feel that certain things are important over other things, and it's I don't know. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't know where to stand because sometimes I do enjoy my PlayStation and sometimes I hate my Xbox. If Xbox is down or, the dashboard gets really laggy or whatever, I'm just like, this really sucks. But,
well, Inferno, let me ask you a question. And I really want this show to be, you guys ask me, but I just want you guys to resonate with this thought. And this is where I get my stance against the media. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can you or anyone on this panel explain to me how every single media outlet is a Sony fan? Is there something weird there? I mean, even if you tune into I'm a New York Giants football fan, but when you tune in, I have to listen to sometimes Phil Simms make fun of the Giants, and he won a Super Bowl with them. Like, not everybody in California can be a Sony fan. That's where you have to draw the line. What publication is openly Xbox like there's so many that are Sony? That's the one thing that resonates inside me. I mean, if you guys have an answer, I'm all ears.
Clowns, you got something to say about that? It sounded like you did.
Well, yeah, I do. I think what happened with Xbox One, and I think it goes back to that launch, and I think the media has never forgiven them. And I think what it was all that European conspiracy about the government surveillance and the Xbox One on the Kinect and being able to see inside your house at night and the NSA and all this conspiracy theory across Europe that, it's the big bad American government. And from there, the European media just twisted that as much as they could. And like, oh, well, look at Sony. PlayStation doesn't do all that crap. PlayStation doesn't have that type of DRM. PlayStation's going to let you, play used games and all this crap. And I think the media has never forgiven or moved past that fact. And they tout Sony as like the hero of this generation because it's like anti-American government, and it's ridiculous. It's totally unfair, and it was just a big hoopla that was blown out of proportion.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, Clowns, to be honest with you, what Sony's done very well, okay, is they come out and say something, anything, and then they don't They don't lie, but then they just backpedal on it 6 months later when it's out of the news. You know, they took a stance against DRM saying you can use your used games. We're not going to check on you. And, you know, Microsoft never said any of this. It was all just maybe coming down the pipeline with thoughts, you know, like we're getting our monthly updates and such. It was probably something that they were going to have coming along, but the media ran with it and made them look like the bad guy. And so Sony's like, we're not going to do that. But where are we right now? PS Now? Right? PSN?
Yep.
Right? To be connected to stream. Sony's got you by the balls more than Microsoft if you're really, truly a fan of their services, you know? So, well, I mean...
And Mooch, I just want to add on to that. You're absolutely right. And a lot of people don't even realize, and I mentioned this last week with Tim on the show, but when GeoHot and Fell Overflow cracked the PS3, and GeoHot made the tool available publicly.
Yes.
But after GeoHot did that to the PS3, Sony added in very fine print in their updates for firmware that they rootkit it so they can watch everything that you do on your console. How come the media didn't cover it like that? How come it was only the underground scene that knew about that or talked about it? It wasn't like IGN that said, oh, well, they got rootkits now in their firmware. They can see what you do.
That's right.
I mean, you know, where was the media then? Because they did it to Microsoft. You know, it's just unfair.
The media is never around to use a even more upfront example. That's an outstanding example, by the way. I realize that. I know what you're speaking of. But another one that the media, just on layman's terms, okay, let's talk about delays, game delays. Uncharted 4 has had 3 bad stage debuts, okay, where it's locked, froze, didn't work, etc. We've had a major delay where it was supposed to be their holiday release. Now it's been delayed another 30 days. For what reason, we're not really sure. There's no reason for this 30-day delay when we're so close. The only reason I can say is the beta came out, and it just wasn't good. It really wasn't ready. So they probably had to go back. And a lot of people, this is more on the Xbox camp than anywhere else, but a lot of people think that we may see a pushback to fall for that game because this will be the third Christmas they don't have a game that they can call their own. So, but when Uncharted 4 was delayed again recently in the past 3 weeks, it took IGN almost 48 hours to get that out. When Scalebound was listed just the other day as a delay, it was wildfire. Like it caught, it was everywhere. The slogan actually Kotaku hit right away in the morning as soon as it was advertised was not even 2 weeks into 2016 we've got our first delay. That was moments after the announcement. Nothing for Uncharted came out from multiple publication. It was just one from IGN a day later. You know, a day or more later. My point here is that the media is clearly, and you know, people always say, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't wear the tinfoil hat. I'm not saying that Sony's walking around handing these publications, white envelopes with money in it. I'm not saying that. That's ridiculous. That's silly talk. But they're doing something. We all know that IGN got engraved PS4s. Everybody got one of those. Listen, I work for a large company. We're not allowed to take anything from a customer that's over $25. Okay, that's in gift or food. Okay, whether that means oh well, I didn't give him a gift, but I brought him out to I bought him a $300 bottle of wine at dinner. You can't do that kind of stuff. And last I checked, the market value at that time was $400 for that product, and each of them got engraved. That's something you don't give. Tom Brokaw or Brian Williams, bad example because he got into some trouble. But these guys that work for the NBC Nightly News anchorship, you don't see they don't wear a donkey or an elephant on their lapel. You know what I mean? Because they're supposed to be neutral. We know that we're all people. Everybody has a side, like we'll get into. Everyone has a choice. But when you're a professional and you're getting paid for it, you're not supposed to show that. They should never have accepted things like that. And there's a bunch of other things that I've heard about that are factual from people that were in the business. There's a lot more gift bags, games, things given out at events at E3 to the press that me and you will never get or ever see. Right. But these are things that Sony does. So does Sony hand out money? No, they don't do that. Do they give out favors? Absolutely. And if you don't believe me, go 2.5 years back to Up at Noon on IGN and look at the one screen they had. It was like a Western House or something like that, or it was an LG. And then all of a sudden, after this miraculous come through in 2013, the entire set are Sony TVs. So listen, it is what it is. Take that with a grain of salt. But the media is clearly one-sided here, and you don't think that hurts? You don't think that? How hard do you have to be to push your product when you're going against an IGN that's getting 2 million hits a video? I mean, it's an uphill battle that even Microsoft, they'd have to start their own channel, on television and their own channel on the internet. And I'm sorry, what Larry Herb does once a week for 6 minutes, that's not enough with Xbox Live this week or whatever that is. So that's the problem you have there. There's something going on. We won't find out about that for a couple of years till somebody squeals.
Right.
Well, you bring up a very valid point, Mooch, on that, because as far as journalism goes in the video game industry, I don't think that it's regulated like as if a union was regulated or a big corporation was regulated. It's not regulated at all. And then the flip side of that, what makes it even worse, is that a lot of these companies, mainstream media, have satellite offices like in Europe or Asia. And in those countries, even to this day in Italy and in Japan, I do believe that to do business deals, there's backroom handshakes with like gifts. It may not be monetary, but it's usually gifts. And it's allowed in countries like that. And they have satellite offices there. So it's probably some type of way that companies are getting away with it. And Microsoft's hands are kind of held together because they're an American corporation. And in America, we're heavily regulated against stuff like that, against favoritism. So, I mean, even if Microsoft has satellite offices over there, they probably wouldn't get away with it as much as a European or an Asian company would.
I agree. I agree with that. Well, we already know that. We know that just from, just economics. We're not playing on a fair playing field here with business across the world. We have minimum wage here is now, depending on what state you're in, between $10 and $15 an hour, and it comes with 3 or 4 smoke breaks every day. And over in China, what do you get? 15 cents, 20 cents an hour, and they just these poor folks are working around the clock. So on a business level, and when you move over to what we're talking about here with media rights and just I think what it's just the moral part of it, the ethics, business ethics part, we're not playing on a fair playing ground here at all.
A lot of good stuff in the chat. Guys are making some awesome comments. Specifically, there's been a lot of chat about in the console wars how Sony would back in the day, try to one up. I know Power of China, Childish Gingino, a couple other people in the chat. Talking about how Sony would try to one up Xbox and say, our online service is free, and now, they kind of swept that under the rug, and now you have to charge. That was kind of the ammunition they used against Microsoft, because since day one you've had to pay for Xbox Live Gold or whatever. And Turtle in the chat also said that it was supposed to increase the server stability. Do you feel that I feel like, just personally, if Sony had changed their mind on it and done, what they accused Microsoft of doing, they accused Microsoft of charging for the money. Now, if they're going to flip the switch and improve their servers with the money, and it was obvious, then I would be like, okay, I would be okay with that. That would be a good rationalization. But as of right now, that's not really something that people have experienced, because Sony Online PSN is not nearly as strong as Xbox Live. So do you feel like you would be able to swallow some of these things better, or do you think the people should be able to? If they show and demonstrate that they're actually making a good change with it, or?
Well, absolutely. But the problem is that there's enough of a sample time now. These consoles didn't come out a week ago. These consoles have been out since 2013. People have been paying since 2013. So tell me this, where's your money going?
Right.
PSN was down for some people days, in Europe, or if it was Australia, pardon me for not knowing the location, but here in the States, it was down for 10 to 12 hours. So we're clearly not seeing your money going towards PSN. Where's your money going? Let me tell you where it's going. On that ugly mask that they're going to present to us at E3, okay? That VR. That's where it went. Your money's all getting sifted into something else right now. And look, here's the deal. A lot of people don't agree with me. I'm good friends with the Red Dragon. I talk to him all the time. I'll be honest with you. The one thing me and him don't see eye to eye on is he thinks that online play should be free. Now, he makes an outstanding case for that. So I'm not discrediting his case. However, we all know that Xbox Live right now, I believe you can get it for anywhere from $29 to $39. You see those deals up all the time. It's always around. If you happen to just procrastinate and you wait to the last minute when yours is out and you got to pay the $50 or $60, my hack. I apologize to you, but that's also because you're not paying attention.
Right.
I have no problem. I have no issue with paying $40 a year for Xbox Live if everything remains status quo with what we get when we go home at night and you put on your console. Right now, I think we're without Xbox. If we're ever without Xbox Live, it's for an hour or two, very rarely. And if it's out for a long time, it's 1 day a year. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say, or 2 days a year. I'm okay with paying an engineer, a guy that I work with who's now my boss. He said to me a long time ago, whenever you actually take money out of your pocket and hand it to somebody, but you get a service back, don't be upset that you gave that person the money. And if you did, you shouldn't have given it to them in the first place. With Sony, you're giving them money. You're not getting it back. You're not getting your return. And that's the problem I have here. And I'm not even talking about the outages because that's too elementary. If I sit here, you're like, geez, we brought Mooch on here, and all he's telling me is stuff I can read on every headline. Well, you know what you're not getting? Your UI looks the same. What, because it's a brighter blue? I'm supposed to be excited this generation? There's nothing to it. You didn't get much out of that. The online, just the whole, communicate, still talking to somebody on PSN is not as crisp as Xbox Live.
Yeah, absolutely true.
You know what I mean? So it's these little details, guys. We're playing. I was on last night for 3 hours, 4 hours with a lot of my friends from work, people that I've met online, having a blast. Crystal clear. Crystal. And, that's not the service you're getting with PSN. So your money's not getting put back into the system like you think it is. It's getting bled into another department. And unfortunately, and I'm sure you guys are going to talk about that because it's the hot news all day today, is just the VR stuff. To me, VR, we're not ready for it. Okay? There's a reason Phil Spencer and Microsoft decided not to go head first into it. We're not ready for VR. It's in Sony. If you're going to invest in VR, go buy yourself an Oculus. Go buy yourself an Oculus, and we'll get into it later. But I mean, as far as your question, people have been getting taken advantage by Sony here. Microsoft, sure, you want to argue that it should be free, fine. We're getting 4 games now. That doesn't mean you like them. 2 Xbox One, 2 360s that are backwards compatible. You're getting something. You're getting a service. That's all I can say to you. If you want to argue with me, I'll take the argument. But all I'm saying is, at least for what you're paying, you're getting an online service, crystal clear chat, 4 free games a month, and I think these features we get are fantastic, and they're only going to get better.
In regards to, we'll get to the PlayStation VR thing in a minute, but in regards to the free games a month, with PlayStation Plus, they kind of did the same thing. Do you think that the fact that PlayStation recently allowed people to vote for the games they wanted out of a select few, 3? I know Microsoft did recently open up a backwards compatibility voting feature where they took a little bit of research to see what people really wanted, but it's not set in stone that those are going to come. But with Sony, it is set in stone. If you vote for that one and it wins, it becomes the PS Plus game. So do you think that was a big hit for them?
Inferno, let me turn the question to you. Let's say me and you, all right, we live down the road from each other, and I say to you, Inferno, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? And you go, I'll be honest with you, I'm in the mood for Chinese. Now, that's fine, right? What if I said this to you? Tell me if this is the same thing. Inferno, you want pizza or do you want pasta? And you're like, well,
I'm still not getting my Chinese.
Right. So that's you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
What Sony's saying to you is, here's 4 shitty games. Pick what you like. I'm going to give you whatever you like. Mm-hmm. That's not what I want. Microsoft's giving you a list. Excuse me, they're not giving you, they're saying create a list. Mm-hmm. And then we will work off of that list. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. Now, I'm not going to, listen, we're not in elementary school here, guys. I can't say, oh, I want Red Dead Redemption, and it doesn't come. Whatever, that bad example because of the publishing rights and all that. But just, you know what I'm saying? Let's say you get your game, okay? You get Left 4 Dead. And I go, well, come on, I've been asking for Red Dead forever. That's different. That's me just complaining. But they're listening to their customers. Here, it's, again, just what Sony does. And remember, this is the Japanese mentality, guys. We're all, everyone giggles and laughs and says, oh, here he goes again. It's just the way they are over there. In Japan, you're told what to eat, okay? You're told what to do. Over here, we have more of that freedom. Phil Spencer's opened the airwaves, okay? We're able to talk to him. He just gets on random Sundays and starts tweeting people and bullshitting. When's Yoshida doing that? When's Adam? And people go, Mooch, that's not fair. Yoshida's that's not his culture. Well, then get Adam Boyes doing it or Andrew House. They don't give a shit about their customers. Mm-hmm. They're telling you what you will enjoy, and if you don't enjoy it, that's too bad. And the part that bugs me are Sony fans are lemmings. They're actually, it's great. I got to do just a side story. You know when you have a PS4, you can pick the icon you want? I picked the lemming. It's fantastic. You can't get any better than that, you know? So every time somebody sees me, they're like, oh, there's Mooch. He's a lemming. Absolutely, because that's how it is on that fucking that goddamn console. They force feed you, they spoon feed you what to eat. So, you know, nonetheless, but that's my whole shtick on that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So what do I think? I think Sony tells you what you're going to enjoy. I think Microsoft asks you what you'd like to enjoy.
Wow, this is a loaded podcast, gentlemen. This is a loaded podcast. A lot of good stuff in the chat, and you know, to me, I don't really want to perpetuate the console war anymore. Like at one point in my life when I was younger, you know, it was fun. You know, the commercials were fun with it. You know, seeing I mean, you remember this too, Mooch. We'll talk about your growing up with gaming podcast in a second as well. But you've been around for a little while and played games ever since the Atari and all that, ColecoVision, all that good stuff. And I'm sure you remember, you know, Super Nintendo Genesis with the, you know, Genesis or Sega does what Nintendo don't and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Back in the day, and that was I thought that was fun. You know, I was a kid, you know, but now it's kind of like. Especially when you're able to have both now as an adult, you know, you have your own money, you're able to buy both, you're able to enjoy both. And it's kind of just like, you know, like it's not really that big of a deal.
You're right.
And I don't want to necessarily perpetuate it. Like just get the facts and make your decision. And if you want to make, you know, you want to buy a Sony and you have a specific good reason why you like Sony, like, let's just say like you like Ratchet and Clank or something, or you like Sony franchises better. You know, I feel like don't be upset when Xbox people have you on something else, you know, like the quality of their online service kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, but my question is this. Why is it everyone I know that has, well, let me ask the panel, because it's always good you got to get an assortment of voting. So Clowns, do you have both consoles?
I do.
Okay. Inferno, do you have both consoles?
Yes, I do.
Turtle?
Yeah, I have both.
Assassin?
Yep, I do.
Okay. And you know, you were very clear to say that this is not just an Xbox Central podcast, but you know, it definitely, you know, we all lean one way or the other. Where I'm getting with this is that if we can now take the five of us and go to another podcast that's Sony based, and let's just go down the dais, I guarantee you 60% don't have an Xbox One.
Right.
And that and there lies the problem, okay? Because you said it yourself. We're older now. We've got the money to be able to go out and enjoy the games or the console that we like. So instead of forming petitions to bring Rise, Son of Rome, or, you know, whichever game you find, Quantum Break over to the PlayStation, why don't you go out and get that other console? It's not like how it was where when I was a kid, I had only a Super Nintendo or I only had a Genesis because you had to go beg and lobby to your parents for 24 months to get the other console in the house. So, I mean, we can do that. The reason is there's something wrong with the Sony camp. There's a mentality issue there. And I don't know if it's youth. I don't know if it's just ignorance. I don't know what it is. But the power struggle conversation's pretty much over, okay? These consoles are equal. I don't give a shit. Nobody's wearing a monocle while they're playing a video game. You can't tell me that you counted 3 other pixels while you're running at 60 frames per second. You saw something I didn't. So, all right? So that's out the window. You know, so with the games having basically the same strength at this point, and Microsoft really flexing muscles here, guys. They've got the cloud computing coming. They've got supposed... I'm not saying DX12 is the next... Jesus Christ coming down. All I'm saying is that DX12 is going to bring some level of superiority to gaming in the next 3 to 4 years. So you've got them flexing their muscles. There's nothing. Sony's come out and said they're not going to use Vulkan, which is their version. They're going to have nothing to do with Vulkan in the near future. That may be a PS5 thing. But, you know, so what I'm asking is, why don't Sony guys go out and spend the $300 and get an Xbox One and enjoy if we're all supposed to be mature? Why is the Mooch only supposed to be mature? I'm the only one that's supposed to be mature? Why can't the Sony guys go out and do the same thing that everybody on this panel just, you know, that we just admitted? We all have both consoles.
Right.
That's what I wonder. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of hate comes from people who haven't tried both. And I feel like if you just go out and hate something blindly that you haven't tried out, then you're just ignorant. It's just as simple as that. I mean, you're just ignorant. Before I got a Wii U, I mean, I kind of fell into that camp, and I was like, this sucks. I don't want to just hate something, that I haven't tried. And then I actually do own a Wii U, and I enjoy it. I don't play it as much as the other ones because there isn't really as much to play. But I mean, I see where there are strengths with Nintendo franchises. But like, I think as gamers, everyone needs to get out of that mindset that I gotta hate when I don't have, and I have to form an allegiance, and I have to just blindly defend and not experience everything. Because right now, gaming is amazing. Like, console gaming is fantastic. The games now are of such high quality, and that's not to say that back when we were kids, like, Mario wasn't the coolest shit in the planet. Like, it was, but. And, like Ghosts and Goblins and stuff like that. Like, yeah. Did you have to beat it in one sitting? Yes. Did you have to, could you only play it once through and it was pretty much the same? Yes. But now there's just so much variety, so much creativity that I just feel like you need to try both. You need to experience both because gaming is at such a good place now. We can't ruin the experience by just hating. So
it is an amazing time to be a gamer. It really is. This is some of the best, and I've been through a couple of the generations, and I'll tell you, man. But like you said, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to discredit anything going backwards because everything at that time was the latest and greatest. Like, remember when F-Zero came out? The polygons, holy shit!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
But like, it was awesome, man. It was. I mean, I played F-Zero, or not F-Zero. Star Fox. I was trying to say Star Fox. Pardon me. Just an amazing game. You know what I mean? Like, I played the goddamn thing till my thumbs bled. Like, it was just. At the time, you got to enjoy everything that comes at you. I try to say the same thing for sports to try and hit a different part of the audience that may be listening and has another. Like, don't just hate, LeBron James. Don't hate Tom Brady. I'm a Giants fan. Okay, big respect for Tom Brady. We're living through an era. Okay. That when everyone on this panel is in their 60s and 70s, when we're all there, which is not, listen, it's coming, people. It's coming. 60s and 70s coming, okay? When people are like, I heard Tom Brady was sick. You'll be like, yeah, he was fucking amazing, actually. It's crazy. The guy was insane.
Yeah.
Like that, you have to enjoy everything for when it comes. I'm going to be buying Uncharted 4 day one. Day one. So here I am, right? I'm the guy waving the Xbox flag every day, but I'm going to go out and buy Uncharted because I'm an Uncharted fan. I'm playing through the collection right now. My only thing is that, like I said offline, and we'll get into it a little bit maybe now, is just whether you like, Coke, Pepsi, Reebok, Nike. It doesn't matter what your flavor is. I have to lean very heavily on the Microsoft side just because I think they give me the experience, the features, the online, and the games. And I think Sony occasionally hits the games. So, but that's me. That's me. And I've always asked somebody to forget the word debate, because debate all of a sudden starts everybody off on the wrong foot, right?
Right.
So forget debate. Can somebody just sell me? Could somebody sell me on a PS4? Not literally, I have one in the house, but could you sell me on what am I missing? And unfortunately, every time I say that, I keep getting a list of these whacked out anime games that, again, you said it yourself. Unfortunately, I'm not 13 anymore. I'm just not. So the games that I enjoyed that are like that when I was, that's fine. But the problem is I have a lot of adults arguing with me that I don't like all these JRPGs. I don't have anything against them, but I'm not coming home after a long day of work. I got stuff I got to do to take care of the house. I have my side business. I got things I got going on. And then I'm going to sit down at the end of the night and I'm going to be a chirping bird running around. That's just not what I want to do. I want to play a game that's a little bit more serious, has a little bit more like Quantum Break. Scalebound could be a little bit more on that side, but yet, of course, it has that Microsoft twist where it's got that adult. There's that adult twist to it that says, okay, I can still get this. There's a reason that we enjoy the movies we all enjoy. We don't watch the cartoons we did, 20 years ago because we're just not there right now. We're not there anymore. So maybe Sony's only catering to that. But listen, the reason you never hear me bash Nintendo is Nintendo's very clear on their customer. They don't intrude on Microsoft and Sony. They don't want to. They have their own business model, their own games. Their IPs are so strong. I never ridicule. I have a Wii U.
Yep.
My kids play it. I play it. I think it's great. It's great. It's a great system. It is what it is. To me, Nintendo, and I take this is going to be a compliment, but you guys are going to don't take it the wrong way. Nintendo's really never evolved, okay? Nintendo's
what a compliment. What a compliment.
Right? But you know what, though? I think oh, God, drawing a blank here. Who's the gentleman that just passed away, the president? Nintendo.
Isn't it like Iwata?
Iwata would be the only person that actually would agree with what I just said and said that is a compliment. Because they didn't want to evolve. They still want that childhood heart. They still want that type of person to play the game. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, guys?
Yep,
Like if they wanted to have blood, guts, and gore, a chainsaw on the end of the machine gun, they could have done that. That's really not where they went. And that's not where they want to go. So I'm not going to ridicule Nintendo for their business model. They're very clear on who they're trying to get. But Sony just doesn't give you that oomph for your money for my money. And I think there's a lot of us out there that are still hanging on to Sony because of the nostalgia of the PS2. You got to let go, everybody. We all have to let go. Like look at what's going forward. Don't look backwards. And listen, the proof's in the pudding. 2 holidays have gone by. What games are PlayStation 4 players playing? What are you playing?
Multiplats.
Right. But I love that. Multiplats, we all have multiplats. PC guys, Xbox guys, we all got that. So why would, if you didn't have a PlayStation 4, what's the sell? Why am I going to get a PlayStation 4? For multiplats? I already have an Xbox One.
Well, with this generation, as you know, the sell when it comes to multiplats, you got to make it your own. So now with this timed exclusive DLC and all that crap, I wonder how you feel about that. What do you think about that time exclusive stuff, company exclusive, like with Destiny and COD now on Black Ops 3 with a 1 month exclusivity and all that kind of shit. So how do you feel about that? Because that's kind of like the way that Sony, and I mean, hey, if they want to, Sony has been throwing money to some of these people. Obviously, they threw it to Activision, Capcom with the exclusivity of, Street Fighter V for consoles.
Oh, that pisses me off.
That game's not even that good. I did get the beta, and that game sucks compared to Mortal Kombat. But I digress. What do you think? Like that's the play, I think, for Sony when it comes to multi-platforms. That's the way that they're able to get people onto their system. And with Destiny and with some other games, it has definitely worked.
To answer your question, okay, so Xbox had the 30-day map packs before Sony all the way up until this year. And I was this is the first year I've never bought COD. This is the first year.
Really?
Yeah. I was a big COD fan. I had enough, to be honest with you. It was
good this year. The Black Ops is pretty good.
Listen, it is, and I'm not even gonna bash it. I'm not gonna bash it because let me tell you something. I was too invested in it to bash it. But there was just too many other types of multiplayer that I was getting into, and I'm into Destiny. I do like Destiny. And let's talk about that. So the 30-day map pack thing, that's nothing. That we're all bored of that. We're so bored of that. That's who cares? You have a map pack before I do. I don't even know that you have it on the other console 30 days ahead of me because I'm on the other console. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you have. It sucks when your friends would buy a map pack and you didn't have one. That sucks because then the big red X showed up and you're like, your friend didn't buy it. And you're like, oh, come on. Then you got to spend 20 minutes lobbying for the kid to spend, $29. But my point is that the part that kind of sucked in this generation is everybody kind of upped the ante, didn't they? Destiny had exclusive rights for a year, which in that game, with what they had, was a big deal. Mm-hmm. Microsoft says, hey, you're not playing Tomb Raider for a year. That's a big deal. So they kind of upped the ante. That 30-day map pack stuff to me is nothing anymore. I mean, it was irrelevant because you weren't dangling the carrot in front of me because everybody that was playing COD with me, let's just see, I didn't run into this problem because we always got it. But I'm saying if you flipped the script last year and the year before that, and we didn't have it and Sony had it these past 3 years, I wouldn't have cared because I'm playing with my friends, we're playing Call of Duty, and we all have the same maps. So what do I care if I'm missing one that's a volcano map or something, whatever. So that didn't really bother me, but they all upped the ante this generation. Now, here's the thing. Phil Spencer, I think this Tomb Raider thing you saw, which will pay off for Microsoft, okay? I'm on record. You can go back to as many podcasts as you want and listen to what I said. Mm-hmm. I'm on record saying that they have 12 months. This isn't a rabbit and a tortoise race, okay? When you have another game come out, it's what happened in the first 2 weeks. Sales are really important because it's Sony versus Microsoft. Who did better? Here it's Microsoft versus Microsoft. PC, get the hell out of here. I don't care if you're a PC fan or you're not. You have to understand that, unfortunately, your numbers don't matter. We don't care. It's the console war is not called the console and PC war. It's called the console war.
Right.
So Microsoft is not in competition with anybody until next November. And by then, listen, in games, guys, it's what have you done for me lately? It's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Okay? Hear me out. Let me explain. If you don't believe me, forget what I'm saying. Go back into your own podcasts. When is it the last time? When was the last podcast you guys were talking about Bloodborne? Or last podcast you guys were talking about Titanfall? Or your last podcast you were talking about Sunset Overdrive? Probably way back.
It's a long time. A long time.
So who cares about Tomb Raider next year? After already 3-4 million people have played it. Like, it's old news. We don't care. So Microsoft's deal will work. They're well over 1 million already in 2 months. They're going to be at 2.5, 3.5, 4 million. I'm not going to go over 4. Let's say 2.5 to be safe. I like to play conservative.
All right.
2.5 million. That's a success. That's a success under anybody's terms. Everybody was lighting a match and stomping their feet when Bloodborne hit 1 million. But Tomb Raider hits 1 million on Xbox and everybody goes, eh.
Yep.
Why? And we have a smaller install base. Come on. I mean, these are numbers. Everything's relative, you know?
Right.
And this is more of that, we're not going to go back on it, but this is more of that bad media press, people, right? Microsoft sells over $1 million. Aaron Greenberg says it. Who cares? Bloodborne sells over 1 million. We get 65 fucking episodes of Polygon Let's Play. You know what I mean? It's insane. I'm not making this up.
No, I know.
This is what's happening. And that's why I do what I do. I think people just need to open their eyes. And what I always try to say is, I'm not saying you shouldn't like Bloodborne, but should you like it as much as the media is really selling it to you? You know what I mean? It's 2 steps forward / 3 steps back. 2 steps forward / it's a Paul Abdul song, really. It's really a boring game. And it's all they had. My brother has Until Dawn, and we played through a good half of it together. And he's like, you really got to try it. I said, buddy, you better have a lot of fucking caffeinated soda. This is killing me slowly. Like, it's just a story. It's just a story. It's an adult story. It's like if I told you could control Freddy Krueger and recreate an 80s movie. It is what it is, but, I just don't see what people are seeing on the other side. And, if it's the JRPGs, well, then that's what I'm missing, because that's something I'm not interested in. Even if Microsoft really has a lot of JRPGs, I wouldn't be into it. So, yeah, I hope I touched the subject on that. I get going sometimes, guys, and, you gotta put the brakes on.
Yeah, no.
That's all right, dude. I wanted to touch up on what you just said, though. It fits in there a little bit. But when I was looking at the PS4 and the Xbox One, I already had the Xbox One, and I waited a while to get a PS4 because I wanted to try it out for their exclusives, give them a chance and whatnot. And to me, I never played Last of Us on PS3, so it was kind of appealing to me. And then I saw the Order of 1886, the graphics and everything. Like, oh man, this looks really good. This looks amazing. And at first I bashed a little bit, but then I was like, oh man, these graphics, I gotta play it. And I kept telling Inferno and Assassin, like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this game. I gotta get it. I pop it in. 5 hours later, I beat the thing, and I'm like, where was the game? This was not a game. Yeah. Where the hell was the game?
Yeah. Hey, Clowns, I'll be honest with you. That's it. I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. It's not like money didn't go into that game. All right, money went into that game.
Oh, yeah. That was a big one, dude, right from the start.
Absolutely. But the problem is that the good Sony studios are making VR. They're making VR games. So,
hey, dude, it's all about, and that just goes back to the marketing, essentially. VR is the big thing. They have to jump on the bandwagon. They spend their money improperly, and then we get shit like that. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, Sony, you're right. You nailed it. You nailed right on the head right there. Sony would rather look good than be good. And you said it. Right now at CES, if me and you took a piece of rubber and we taped it to our head and said we have a VR company, we'd have 3 to 10 cameras following us around. It's a buzzword, right? You say VR, I say now. VR, now. Like, everybody just wants VR. And why? Is it?
Oh, man.
Fed?
Mooch, you know what? With this VR thing is a whole PR scam to me. I mean, we're not there yet for real VR. We're not really there yet. and they're just trying imitations in front of your eyes with 2 screens to make you feel like you're in it. And I'm just waiting for that day when they have to put a disclaimer on VR because somebody gets hurt over something stupid. You remember when the Wii, everybody's moving their hands around and they would get their hands like hit on walls or fans because they didn't put the strap on. There was a disclaimer now. You got to, supposed to use that strap. I'm waiting for one of those disclaimers from Sony VR. Oh, you're not supposed to walk 2 feet. Yeah, you got to get this stand so you can't move 2 feet.
I'm gonna give you credit, but I said if you don't, I was on Xbox Nation last night. That's what I said. I said we were getting yelled at and getting these memos that you had to put that strap around your wrist for the Wii. This is going to be something where you're completely immersed. You have no idea. Listen, anyone who doesn't believe me right now, stand up from where you are at your computer or your TV, close your eyes, and just lift your right foot up literally 1.5 inches and try and stand there for 30 seconds. 10 seconds. You're going to fall. Your foot's going to fall or you're going to take a dip. What I'm trying to say is you're completely immersed into this thing. We all know adults like to have adult beverages. Okay, so we're going to have a couple of drinks before we start, right? And you're not going to tell me you're not going to spin out or lose where you are, or you might knock a lamp over. You might run into your 65-inch television set. Now, instead of the controller going through the TV, we're going to have videos, GIFs, and memes of people falling through the TV. You know, and this is ridiculous. This is the thing. We're not there right now, guys. We're not there right now. We're just, who wants to go home and close out everybody from their family, their friends, and just sit into this world? Now, don't get me wrong. Is it cool? It's cool. And do you guys like 3D movies? Do you guys like IMAX 3D?
Hit or miss for me, man. Hit or miss. Usually it's just animated movies that I like, but
Absolutely.
Star Wars is good.
Star Wars was great in it, by the way. Okay,
Yep.
and I don't like 3D, but it was fantastic in IMAX 3D. But here's my point: I don't want to go see every movie in 3D. So you're not going to want to play every game in this immersed world. And for $400 to $600, and to have that power pack brick hanging off you plus wires, nobody wants to come home and plug themselves literally into the internet for 2 hours of pure darkness and being shut off. And that's why I just don't think it's there right now. And you know what's going to happen? I want to make a Mooch prediction on your show, okay?
Oh, please do.
I haven't said this anywhere else. When Sony launches, they will sell out like Oculus, and Sony will run the greatest campaign on the internet that you've ever seen, that we sold out. This is what the people want. The people have spoken. Meanwhile, if you actually look at the numbers, they'll probably only sell about 10 to 30,000, maybe 100,000 at most at launch, for pre-order. And 100,000 based upon what they've put into it. Let's use Facebook's numbers. Facebook bought the rights to Oculus for $2 billion with a B, $2 billion. $2 billion. That's when they bought it. Then that was 2 years ago. There's been research, money, backers invested, blah, blah, blah. Fill in the blank, okay, guys? Fill in the blanks. Yesterday, it was rumored that even at the high side, nobody knows, but the high side was 100,000 is what they sold when they said they sold out.
Yep.
At $600 a pop, you're at what? 60, what is that? 60 million? $60 million? My point is this.
Oh, yeah. Yep, go ahead. Yep,
okay.
60 million.
60 million? That's nothing. 2 billion? You know how far? And this is Oculus.
Yep.
Sony's put a lot of money into it too. They're going to come in a little bit. They're going to try and come in a little bit lower. I don't know if they actually can come in lower. If you look at it, Oculus is based off of all the power and the brains and everything is going to be in the PC that you own in your house.
Right.
The PlayStation has the processor as an additional piece that comes with it.
Right.
That's a lot of hardware, guys.
Right.
That's a lot of hardware, cables, etc. And it doesn't come with a speaker. When you go try this when you go play PlayStation VR at CES this week, or if you went to E3, they give you these gorgeous Sony headphones to be part of this immersed world.
Yep.
You don't get that with the system. So they go, oh, don't worry, there's a jack there. You can put an earbud in. Buddy, this isn't the PlayStation 4 where I'm talking to my friend while I'm, eating Funyuns and having a fucking Jack and Coke. This is, okay? This is supposed to be an immersed world we're in, people. I have to go buy a $200 headset from Bose, right? I got to get immersed. I got to be a part of this. So that's another cost, but that's not what I'm saying is Sony's not going to make their money back from this. And they've got Santa Monica. They've got all their top-rated studios involved making games for them and not giving you guys God of War, okay? not giving you these other games, Gran Turismo. You're not getting these games because the developers are busy doing something else. And when this flops, who's picking up the tab? We already know Sony's in dire straits.
Right.
So that's the problem. Realistically, maybe they can just come back to zero and be neutral. I'm actually concerned that in a year and a half, when this thing really is a fad and everybody talks about it being a fad like 3D was, well, guess what? Sony might be in a lot of trouble. They may need a new type of backer. They may need somebody to buy them out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because a lot of Sony's divisions have gone to the wayside, and PlayStation, obviously, they're in the black with that, but I mean, a lot of their other divisions are kind of sucking, and putting all their eggs in one basket with this VR stuff. I agree. If it goes,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done.
I was gonna say, Mooch. One thing I was really looking forward to with this Sony VR, if I ever get to try it out, is play, the next fascinating Yakuza game, and it's I can karate kick the wall and hurt my foot or something.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing too. Klaus, great point you just brought up. It was briefly touched months ago in an interview, but when you are immersed into this VR, you want to put your head down and see your hands, right? You ever see Lawnmower Man? You want to see your hands. You want to be able to know that your body is in this. It's not supposed to be just your eyes. And now to do that with Sony, I think you have to have the move sticks, and it also has to work with the. I think Sony's going to tell you what you're going to see, So that's not really VR. VR is supposed to be, I put this on and you've created this world that I'm in. My feet, my hands. Now, maybe you may make my feet and hands like some kind of power or some kind of tool. That's fine. But they're not going to give you that. And how much of this is additional cost? Do I have to buy the move stick separate? Do I have to buy the eye? What do I have to do here to enjoy what you want me to enjoy, Sony? Should I just give you $1,000 and you let me know when a good time is on the way? I don't.
Or when we got to upgrade for the next gen, like Generation 2 of Sony VR, or the new cord for the next system, or the additional firmware needed for it. I mean,
I don't know if this was on your schedule to talk about, guys, but next generation, okay? No one likes to talk about it because we were heavily invested right now. Next generation is not that far away. My prediction is 2019 for Xbox. Xbox 2, Xbox Inferno, whatever alias they want to call it.
Oh, all right.
Xbox 2 will be it'll be 2019, and that's a long enough. It makes sense. The componentry should drop in cost by then. Phil's been in office long enough. One of the first things Phil did, I don't know if do you guys listen to Red Gaming Tech? It's a London-based British, basically tech show.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
They favor Sony. What else is new? But I listen to them because I like their tech talk. And 2018 would be feasible, but I think that's pushing the envelope. 2019, we're going to be seeing an Xbox 2, PS5. I do think you'll see the Xbox beforehand. One of the things they reported way back when Phil Spencer took over was immediate. A lot of job interviews started, or job openings started to happen in the Xbox division for senior engineer, for all types of things, design, electrical, a lot of things. And everyone was like, "Oh, this may just be Phil wants an Xbox One Slim." No. I'm not saying a Slim's not coming, but that's not why he had all these hirings. He hired a lot of people when he got in there because I think what he knew was he's got to get. Let's use Ryan McCaffrey's words. He's got to make a beast for the next one.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That next one is going to be beastly. You know what Sony did this generation? They did what bad analogy, guys, but they kind of did what they say Japan did to the United States in 1941.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, hey, listen, they woke a sleeping giant. They woke a sleeping giant. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and poke Microsoft and say you didn't build the right box? Watch out. You just took somebody that's got an endless amount of checks. Okay? An endless amount of checks. They can cut whatever they want. They woke a sleeping giant. Phil Spencer will not. He will not be the weaker console next time. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee it. You think they're going to come out and be the inferior console with power? I don't think so.
Well, it can't be.
Well, see, I think, when we're talking about the console power stuff, and I think what hurt this generation was that before Phil Spencer's, they allotted too much power and resources to the Kinect, and without thinking ahead.
And the other entertainment stuff, and the other yeah. That's
and
what it was.
what Sony just recently did is they opened up one of their additional cores for their processor so that developers can take the PS4 even further. And it's just, I mean, you know what the PS4 is going to be good for? in the future is a cheap Steam OS box, so you don't have to pay $600. Thanks to Fail Overflow, by the way, who
Wow.
cracked it.
Wow. Way to shout out a huge hacker there, clowns. But I mean, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. Assassin and Turtle, I feel so bad that you guys haven't said anything. So I want to get your opinions on probably on PlayStation VR first. Do you guys have any opinions on VR as a whole? I know, I feel like we haven't really talked about this, so just throw out anything. Either one of you?
Go ahead.
Turtle?
We have all that and building inside. Come on, let's hear it.
Oh my god, Assassin.
Well, for certain games, I think it will be great, like a great experience. But I don't know if all games will work with it. Like, I would like to play a racing game with it, which I think they are working on Gran Turismo 7 that will support it.
Oh yeah, dude. That's the thing, and that's why I think it has caught so much popularity. If it was just a gimmick and nothing was good on it, I think it would just fade away. But like, there are some things that are just so immersive and could be so amazing on it, and that's why I think people are starting to think, $400. Is it worth that? Maybe it is. Like, can I look left and look right and look over my shoulder to see who's coming or whatever? I think the racing thing, I think that's a good point you make. I think that has some value, but I'm not sure. It's approachable at that money though.
I mean, like, I can see it easily working with games like Gran Turismo, like not action games, because like how are you gonna play like a FPS or something?
Exactly. Everyone thinks that's cool, but in practice it sucks. Go to Best Buy and check out the Samsung Gear VR. They have that set up at Best Buys around the country, at least around here they do. Pretty much anyone you go into around here in Boston, they have it. You can strap the thing on, you can play like this FPS game where you're like shooting out of a helicopter, and it sucks. Like, it sucks. It's cool, like the technology is cool, and like it's cool that you can look around and see everything, but like after that it loses luster and it sucks. Like, my girlfriend was getting like dizzy on it. Like, it's just too. There's some places where it sounds cool in practice, in theory, but not in practice. So you got to watch out for that when you spend $400, or even Microsoft isn't out there free of all this nonsense. Like, they've got the HoloLens, and that's going to be like $1,500 according to some of our sources. We had Chef Big Willie on the show and Crypto 9095 on the show. We love having them on, and they gave us information from E3 about how it's probably going to be big money for that. And that's I know that's not really VR, that's like augmented reality, but I mean, everyone's doing it, and these prices have got to be way down there for people to take a flyer on it and not feel guilty about wasting their money, because some of this stuff just might not catch on like they think it will.
Well, from the demonstrations, like if you remember E3 back in June with like Minecraft and stuff like that, like the HoloLens is kind of different from Oculus and PlayStation VR, just because like everything's like out in front of you and you can still see what you're doing.
Right.
You're not gonna like be walking around and like walk into a wall.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I want to. Yeah, I agree with you there. That's the thing, and I will not defend HoloLens in gaming yet. We're not there. We're not there yet. But I will say this much: what you just said is more enticing to me. I like to be able to put this visor on, be playing something, almost like I'm looking at a TV, but it's actually in front of me. But I can still, if your wife walks in the room, or your girlfriend, or whatever, your son, your daughter walks in, your friend, you're not like, what? And you're just looking around like you're Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know what's going on. And you gotta know. The other thing is that you guys made a good point. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You guys were saying about Gran Turismo, and I think it was Inferno. Inferno said, yeah, I think they're going to make that. What was the word? You didn't use the word compatible, but you said that should be interactive with that. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. They're not going to make the game solely for VR. They're going to make it interactive. So what does that mean, guys? That does not mean you'll be able to look over your shoulder. It does not mean you'll be able to look up slightly into your rearview mirror. It means basically it'll look a lot like, minus the theater view, what Oculus looks like on an Xbox One. It'll just be a 3D image of your television closer to your face.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm sorry, again, you're going to try that. I'm not saying you're not going to try it. And you may really enjoy it once or twice. But then on like the fourth night when you go to play Gran Turismo, you're going to be like, fuck it. I'm just going to play it, watch my TV. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's,
Yep.
I mean, we're all the same people. We are all the same. If you say you're a gamer, then when I say this or when you say something, that's why I'm sitting here when Turtle was talking and Assassin, I was actually nodding my head. I'm like, I agree with these guys. I agree. Because you know what? I could sit here and just be like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, you're not wrong. But we all know each other. We all know that after a certain amount of time, we're not going to do that. Even Rob the Robot with your Nintendo.
Nintendo,
okay?
yep.
I
That
was
got
just
annoying,
going to
bro.
say that, Mooch. I was
You know?
just going to bring that up, man.
It's just, it gets annoying when you're like, you know what? Screw the fucking robot. I'm just gonna Then I would just like hold the button down when I was a kid, and it would raise the door, and I'd walk through. You know, we all find cheats, ways to do it, and eventually enough's enough. So is $400, $500, $600, $700? Is that the kind of money that you want for that fun couple of weeks? I don't think so.
Definitely not.
You know?
Definitely not. And that's why when I was talking about, just really quick, Turtle, just give me one sec. When I was saying about Samsung VR, like you just said $400, Samsung VR is only $99. So it's very attractive for people to get into the VR space. And that's why even though some of the things on it really do suck, like people are going to take a flyer on it and feel not as guilty, even though that flying game kind of sucks. But Turtle, go ahead. Say what you want to say.
I was just gonna say, like a lot of people see it as a gimmick, but like one of the best uses for it that I've seen so far is if you remember from the Video Game Awards not too long ago, they announced the Rock Band VR for Oculus.
Yeah.
And like I think that is like one of the best uses for it because like it puts you on stage while you're playing. You're not looking at a character you made.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with you. That is definitely one of the cases where that could potentially change a game so much that you wouldn't want to play it differently because, like, as much as some people may see it as a gimmick, like some people when they play their guitar games or their music games, they want to feel like they're in the moment, and I think that's where Guitar Hero kind of succeeded this time around, and people are praising it for that. Versus Rock Band, and now with the with the Oculus and Rock Band collaboration, I think that that is a really good use for it. That's a good point because I totally forgot about that until you just said it. But I definitely am interested in seeing that. So
also, one of the ways I don't see this really working out is, or not really like having much use, is with racing games at the same time because. As cool as it would be to like feel like you're sitting in your car, you already have the ability to look around with I think it's Forza 5. I'm not sure if Forza 6 has this.
Yeah, it does.
But it does like the head tracking, like you can just like move your head back and forth.
I'm pretty sure it does.
And like it moves. So like I mean you're already there.
Getting that, yeah. It's a good point. Assassin, you have something quickly to say about VR because we're at that time where we got to cut this off. Even though there's so much more to say, I got to go coach basketball.
The one thing I have to say with PlayStation VR, like, so you have to use your own headset, okay?
Yep.
Which means you're gonna have to plug into your controller, which then is gonna plug into your, what PlayStation or whatever, to charge it. How are you gonna hold two motion things? Because if you're standing up, how are you supposed to hold the motion things and a controller and play?
I don't know. I want to watch
I have
somebody.
a table sitting in front of me, so whenever I play Rock Band, I have my headset going into my controller, and that sits on the table in front of me.
That's essentially how you're going to have to do it. So it cuts your mobility and your maneuverability out, so maybe that's a good point, because that kind of may take away a little bit of the experience of VR right there, because of the maneuverability. I'm more concerned in the maneuverability aspect of the stupid thing hanging from it. Like, come on, man. You got to attach a brick to it? Come on.
Yeah. There's a lot of question marks here, guys. And I mean, I think, do you see what we just did? We just kind of broke it down with concerns, some excitement, some cost issues, and we talked about all this. Yet the gaming media, if you guys want to humor yourselves, or if you don't want to give them clicks, I recommend you don't. But if you're already clicking them anyways, go to IGN, and they that Brian Altano and Marty Sleva did a quick 3-minute video on Sony VR today, and all they did was talk about how wonderful it is. And you should actually go get it for $400 if indeed $400 is the value. I mean, myself personally, just from doing what I do for a living and knowing electrical components, I don't know how. So I just think that Oculus has more backing. It comes from a much Facebook's, I think, doing better than Sony as a company. So I think they're backing their investors. Their ownership has more money. Sony's got more componentry because they have that processor that's got to come with it, with wires and this and that. And like I said, you're going to need the move and this and that. All these things have to be produced and manufactured for this thing. I don't know how Sony's going to come out under $600. I really don't.
Yeah.
I really don't. If they do, my prediction is it'll be $500 and they're going to lose their shirt.
Yeah, they're just going to take a loss on it like they did with the PS3 initially. Exactly.
But there's a problem there, Inferno. Problem with that. Here's the problem. PS3, PS4, lots of games. Lots of games that people want. People stand in line for Uncharted. People stand in line for Killzone, okay? People don't stand in line for 100-foot robot golf. Okay? Nobody. People don't stand in line for the wacky zombie game that they showed. That was awful. How about Office Simulator? I play games to not play that game, okay? I don't want to play Office Simulator. So this is the problem. You can't lose $200 per unit and then have nobody. I'm talking about you have 100,000 units out there. That's high side, by the way, guys. I don't think they even have that many to sell. But if they take pre-orders for 100,000, they're only going to get like 10,000 people to buy. 5,000 people are going to buy Office Simulator?
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, so my point is, where's the money? Where's this revenue coming back? And where's the media? Why am I doing their job? These are the questions I would write down and I would ask Sho Yoshida. Mm-hmm. These are the questions that I want to know.
Yep.
But no, you know what we're getting from Brian Altano and Greg Miller? Yoshida, oh my God, it's just so innovative. Oh man. And they get their hand up there staring at him. It's so, and I'm like, what's wrong with you people? Ask the questions. You know? You don't even have to be rude.
Mooch, you know what else was innovative? Viewfinder, when I was a kid, when I was like 4 years old. Viewfinder was amazing.
Yes.
And that made me want to go out and look at real birds and real scenery.
That's
and
right.
I mean, you know, maybe this is what's going to happen with Sony VR. Maybe, you know, guys like Turtle are going to get it on Sony and play some Guitar Hero or play some Rock Band. Be like, man, it's going to be so great to be on stage in real life. I'm going to go out there and do it now. Screw this Sony VR. I'm going out there and do it like my Viewfinder. You know what I mean?
That's possible. But you know what it reminds me of, clowns? And you know what it reminds me of more? And you guys know this. You're all Nintendo. You guys seem to be Nintendo fans too. What was the? I have it at my house. It's here. The 3D. You put your head into it. Remember?
Virtual
Boy.
Virtual Boy.
I have it here.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And this is what I'm thinking. I played that. I played the Mario Tennis game that came with it. I played that for hours and hours. And when I took my head out, I felt like I was on Mars because all I could see was red. And
yes.
You know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen with this VR? You're gonna come out and you're gonna have vertigo. That's what you're gonna get. You're not gonna have anything else.
Seizures, vertigo, liability issues.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. I'm not saying it's not neat, but listen, Turtle, I have a buddy of mine in the Xbox world too that's also gonna be getting this VR the minute it comes out because I'm friends. I'm sure you guys know him. He's gonna get it. Worry Ward's getting it, and you know, listen. That's fine, Turtle. If you live closer to me, I would love to go over check it out at your house, and it's gonna. We're definitely gonna look at each other and be like, "Yo, this is pretty neat. That's not bad." Then you're gonna be like, "Yeah, but I wish you bought it, Mooch, because I don't feel like I'm not gonna play this thing for another 6-7 days in a row." You know, it's just it's a fad. It was just like I don't know if you guys are too young to remember this, but when you went to the arcade. Like there was Street Fighter and there was all these great games. We were playing them like crazy, going nuts. Mortal Kombat, and then there was this amazing arcade game that was the size of a room, and it cost like $2 to play. And you went into it, and you're like, there was a line, and everybody's like, I want to go in and play that game. It's amazing. You get immersed because the thing was 360. Yep. It was panorama, speakers in there, and everything. You did it like once or twice, and you're like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And that's where we are. Listen, history repeats itself. Virtual Boy, we just said we did that. Rob the Robot, Connect, this.
Oh, wait, the Power Glove. Remember that? You hook it to your Nintendo.
Jesus,
do I remember the Power Glove? We all do, because we all had to get rotator cuff surgery from using the goddamn thing.
Or you'd pull the Nintendo too far and be like, whoops, what happened?
Yep. Because you had to keep your arm, if you remember, you had to keep your arm elevated like you broke it, like it was in a cast. and you had to hold it up so it could actually see it. You could only play a game for about 15 minutes before your arm went numb. So like, you know, listen, everything comes with its fads. But when my friend got the glove, I thought it was the coolest thing in the fucking world. You know? So, I mean, I'm not saying the VR is not cool. It is cool. It's neat. It's a way to push us forward. But I just don't think we're there yet, guys. I think we're 3-4 years from this. And unfortunately, because Microsoft has $600 billion in the bank, Sony has $7. So
but not only that, Mooch,
that's the problem.
Microsoft also has the third-party support when it comes to PC vendors and manufacturers as well. And I think that's going to give Phil Spencer an edge when he's ready to release the HoloLens. I think he's waiting, you know, see what happens with this. The liability issues are probably holding him back to see what's going to happen, what they need to write up. And then they're going to make their deals with their CPU vendors, their third-party support vendors. They're going to make those deals, and they're going to make it happen a lot better than anybody else could because they'll get the better discount too.
Clowns, they actually did that, but they're doing it a little bit smarter. What they did was they said, we don't want anything to do with this VR world, so what we'll do is we'll partner with Oculus. They partnered with Oculus.
Right.
Every time you buy an Oculus Rift, you get an Xbox One controller. You know, that's Microsoft.
Nice.
Every time you open the box, Microsoft's sitting there waving at you, whether you like it or not. So what I'm saying is all the third-party support that's going to be making games for Oculus, Microsoft, and Microsoft doesn't put any money out for hardware. They don't want to make the money off of it. Give me 5%. Give me 8%. You make 90%. I don't give a shit. You know? And it's no skin off their nose if it fails. So Microsoft's genius to team up with Oculus and do it this way. And like you said, they've got the PC world too. Anybody who plays PC gaming and they're like, I hate Microsoft. Let me just turn Windows on real quick. You know what I mean? Like, all right, yeah, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, you hate Microsoft, but you're playing Steam. You're playing on a PC. You know? So, I mean, my point is Microsoft's getting their hands in the dough no matter how you look at it. And as far as HoloLens, I'll end it with this, Inferno, real quick, 1-minute segment. HoloLens is not ready. HoloLens is very far off. HoloLens has to come down in cost, and they have to expand the view. And I also do, you know, listen, when I think HoloLens, I think Geordi from Star Trek, okay? I don't think whatever the fuck this thing is they have. That's a salad bowl. I don't want to wear that on my head either. You know, I want something that's just a visor, literally covered, almost like Google Glass, but maybe a little bit bigger. I mean, I understand there's more to it.
Right.
But, you know, so HoloLens is way out there. And listen, Microsoft's, their whole conception of HoloLens is not Minecraft. They're trying to do medical research, you know, all kinds of things, real estate sales, et cetera,
Exactly.
et cetera.
Yep.
So gaming is like number 14 on the list for HoloLens in importance, where VR with Sony, it's number 1. And unfortunately, that sucks because they don't have another customer to sell it to. So,
right.
You know, that they're kind of screwed there. But that's my take on HoloLens.
All right, I hate to cut it short, but I got to run or else my kids are going to have to take a forfeit. So, Mooch, thank you so much. Assassin, sorry.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Sorry we
Really
didn't let you speak. Assassin, we love you.
It's fine.
We do love you. Mooch, dying to have you on again, obviously.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, it was awesome talking to you. If you guys want to check out some of Mooch's other stuff, we were going to talk about it, but we got so carried away on the console wars. He also has a kind of 5-minute little video series that he does called Growing Up Gaming. Really fast pace, 5 minutes, all informative stuff, kind of different topic every, what do you do it every week?
I do it every 2 weeks,
weeks?
Because, like I said, I much prefer to come on your show and other shows. I do a lot of. I'm doing a world tour this week too. I'm doing 5 podcasts between now and Sunday.
Oh Jesus! Wow.
I like it. It's a good way to go out. It's a good way to introduce yourself to new audiences and and bullshit with people. You know what I mean? That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about gaming in this generation. Inferno, you said it's a great time. It is because we get to enjoy games. We also get to be social. You get to do both. It's not the stigma like gamers aren't social. We're very social these days.
Exactly. So yeah, go check that out. He also, he just said he was on a bunch of other podcasts. He has some on his YouTube channel. Big Gamer, Small Talk, the Crossfire Podcast. Great stuff. I did listen to a few of them. Really informative. He's got some good guys on there. Hopefully we can get some of those guys to come on our show as well. But we'll see what we can do. But yeah, Mooch, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And until next time, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Check us out, 4GwQPodcast.com, for back episodes, articles, that kind of thing. Clown's been doing some awesome stuff. keeping that up to date, as well as making it more sleek and load quicker. So thank you, clowns, for that. Facebook and Twitter right there. 4 Guys with Quarters on Facebook and 4GwQ Podcast on Twitter to keep in touch with us socially. And for back episodes, you can also go to YouTube, youtube.com/4 Guys with Quarters to check those out. So, yeah, until next time, everybody. Peace. Thanks for coming by and watching. Participate in the chat. Really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
But